Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are at another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies.
Good morning to all the rookies.
Here we are, yet again. Episode number 129.
29, wow.
And it's the end of the year. So it's the end of the year for us. Some listeners might listen to this, like at 4th of July next year or something like that.
Yeah, it'll be next Christmas.
But I have to say that we're going to end the year off, Peter, with a bang.
I thought we were supposed to start it with a bang.
I decided to end it with a bang.
End it with a bang. Boy, I can't wait to see how we started then.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
exactly.
Go ahead.
Exactly.
End it with a bang.
I'll have you know
Hmm.
that for a month now, actually for 2 months, but for a month for real, I have conjured up some amazing things for the next year.
Oh, really?
Yes. I've changed remarkable things. We're going to change our meetup. I've changed my coaching group.
Yep.
To my coaching group is a major, major success. 90% of my clients do deals.
Yeah.
Like within months.
Yeah.
Okay. And they stay with me. I'm not, it's not an annual contract. It's a month to month.
Yep.
And I have, the only ones that I lose are the ones that don't do anything for 6 months.
Oh, yeah.
Which is the reason for today's show.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And the other thing that I'm going to change, and we'll get to that 1 second, but the other thing that I'm going to change, and I have not told anybody this, so I'm going to announce it publicly, so I have to stick to it.
You're not changing your cigar brand, are you?
Oh, no. No, actually, I've been mixing that up too. I've been buying
You
cigars
have,
on an
so you
auction.
have.
Yeah, I've been buying cigars in an auction, having a blast. But the main thing I'm going to do this year is I'm actually going to offer to all my clients, podcast clients and email clients, and I'm going to reach across the land, and I'm going to make it so that if you want me to come to your location for 3 days to work in your business, you can do that.
Are you kidding me?
Yep.
Holy smoke. You'll go like anywhere in the country.
Yep.
And
Has to be the United States. I'm not sure I'm ready to go outside of the United States.
Bill, you know what a nice part of the United States is? Virgin Islands.
I've been there. I don't like them.
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico would be good.
You don't like the Virgin Islands?
I didn't like, what is the main one?
Well, there's a few. St. Croix.
No, it wasn't.
St. Croix. No, that's a good one. St. John.
St. John.
And St. Thomas.
St. Thomas. That's the one.
St.
John
Thomas.
I liked. St. Thomas I didn't.
Yeah, St. Croix is beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, St. Thomas can be a little beat up.
In any event, if anybody's interested in that,
Really?
There's no web page. There's not anything. You go to Bill at flippinghousesforrookies.com. That's my personal email address. Bill at flippinghousesforrookies.com. And,
flippinghousesforrookies.com/support.
No. Just go right. Emma's trying to get me to send him to the support. I don't even want him to go there, Em. It's Bill at flippinghousesforrookies.com. It comes right to me.
You want Bill? You call Bill.
No support tickets, no going through Emma, nothing. Just come right to me, and make sure you leave me a phone number so I can contact you by phone, because I'm an old-fashioned guy. I'm not going to do it on email, and we will chat, and I will tell you how much and what we can do.
Wow, 3 days. You'll go to somebody's
minimum
area
3 days.
to
I will
help them
go
with
to
business.
their business, and I will get them started.
You're a wild man.
I will get them started. When I leave there, they will be making offers, doing deals, and if they're clever, they'll stick with me as a coaching client.
Yeah.
And they will do deals.
Well, you know what I noticed? I don't know. I really didn't hear you say this, so this is just me talking. But I've noticed, including myself, that people don't have too much trouble getting the business kind of started, getting signs or making calls, getting people on the phone. But we get a little bit like, what do I really do now? Right. How do I really make the offer? How do I actually buy the house? That part.
Right.
So I could go wing it myself and eventually get one. But I'd rather you do it because you're just better at it.
It's a shortcut.
I mean, it's a shortcut. I mean, what happens if I do it? I'll get 1 out of 15.
Yeah.
If I work with you, we'll get 1 out of 5, and we'll have 3 instead of me having 1.
Right.
Something like that. So that's how we've been kind of operating. We'll probably keep it that way.
That's good.
Yeah. So I mean, I think of other guys, and I see your other guys. They kind of get going, but they get to the point like, I don't know what to do, and it ain't working. Well, they're sitting right in front of them. They have something there. They're not quite sure. That's when you come in real handy, Bill.
Right.
Yeah.
So the name of today's show, and you have no idea what the name of today's show is.
I didn't even know what you just said.
I wrote it. I came out of my office, and here I am. The name of today's show, which is episode number 129, is Beating Procrastination in Real Estate Investing and Accomplishing the Unbelievable.
I think we should talk about this later.
You do?
Yeah. How about some other time?
Are you feeling a little fuzzy-minded about real estate investing? Perhaps this whole flipping houses for income is vague for you and causing hesitation. Maybe it's just pure lack of motivation. Or your environment is so noisy you can't stay focused or clear on what to do. How am I doing?
Oh, I'm afraid you're really resonating.
If you have fallen into any of these mental traps, you're procrastinating. And you need to listen to this podcast A.S.A.P. so you can discover for yourself how to increase your own personal happiness and well-being. Once you learn these simple positive addictions taught in this episode, life in real estate investing will fall at your feet and you will become the master.
I believe it, Bill.
And anybody that knows me knows that I definitely deliver.
Mm-hmm.
So here we go, Peter.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready? On your marks. Get set. Hit the gun.
Bong.
Pow. We should have got a real gun. We should have got a cap gun.
Oh, how about can we get a gong?
Yeah, a gong.
Bong.
No, we're not getting a gong.
I'll look one up on my phone.
I've been with my sisters for the last 3 or 4 days. I've had enough of that gong stuff, okay? Number 1.
Yeah.
I'm just going to read right from my notes. Simply put, why do some people do better than others in real estate investing? And they get things like huge profits. They can be their own boss. Know how to be the director and run the show. That's important.
Oh, big.
Make their own schedule. Enjoy time off when they want it. So it's not just enjoying time off, but it's enjoy time off when they want it.
Yeah.
Right? Eliminate money worries. That's a big one.
Oh, hell yeah.
So it's not in my notes, but what people don't realize is scarcity mentality is a big problem. Scarcity mentality, like not knowing, and really all scarcity mentality is they just don't know how to make more money. If they knew how to make money at will, they wouldn't have a scarcity.
No, well, most people have a job.
Yeah.
With a salary. That's it. That week. There's no more. That's it.
Right.
And what I watch people that I know do in that situations, they try to cut back and hold back. I don't like that.
Right.
Scrimping and saving and cutting back. That's the wrong direction to me. So I've always been self-employed, for better, for worse. Not huge income all the time with the type of things that I do, but if I wanted more, I would just work a little more.
Yep.
And make a little bit more. Now with the real estate, it's just bigger. I went from guitars to cars to houses.
So I'm not in agreement with what you just said.
What did I say wrong?
Because I don't want to work a little bit more. I want to be smarter.
Oh, hell yeah.
I want to generate income out of thin air.
Yeah, no, that's totally. I had this conversation with a good friend.
Clever.
Instead of working harder, working smarter.
Yeah.
But before, with just a job.
Right.
Like if you're a window cleaner.
That's right.
You clean more windows.
That's right.
You're a guitar teacher, you teach more lessons.
That's right.
You know, it's not hard work, but you got to work more.
Exactly.
So I had this conversation with him. How do we work smarter than harder? And we had a chat about that. A good friend of mine from some years ago.
Good.
And that's kind of how I got here, I suppose.
Yep.
Trying to be smarter.
Yep.
Hey, Bill, do I look any smarter?
So you eliminate worries. They eliminate worries. Lose stress about money and life. How about that one? Lose stress.
Yeah.
Stress is an unsolved problem. That's what stress is. So once you start getting solutions, you start feeling less stressful. right? Have a happier attitude. This I've seen with my coaching clients. They just have a happier attitude. They let things roll off their shoulders. They're less tense. They're more easy going.
Yep.
Right?
My friend,
not with just me, but with people around them.
Well, it's like I was talking to a friend of mine who actually retired, which is not what we're talking about, but it's kind of halfway to being retired because you're not always on the clock. You're doing your own thing. You're generating income. But this guy and his friend, the family was noticing, you're totally different. You're like happy because they're not going to work every day getting the shit kicked out of them. He told me like, oh, these guys are, and that's what it's like to work like that. I'm not used to that, but he told me what it was like.
Yeah.
You get the shit kicked out of you, and you can't talk back because it's a boss being a jerk and blah, and pulling stunts on you. So they're just happy when they retire. But then, you're not really kind of in the game anymore. In a sense.
Exactly.
So
how about this one?
So how about being in the game and feeling like you're retired?
Yeah, exactly. How about this one?
Yeah.
Work from home or wherever you want to. Work from. Right? Get more family time. Drive the car of your dreams.
Hey, back up one. Back one.
Get more family time.
My son was in the hospital for a week. He got sick. And I was there every day.
Yep.
I'd be there in the morning, early afternoon. Someone take over later. People at work, I'm there.
Yep.
That was huge for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good. Get more family time. Donate to churches and charities. That's my big one.
That's yours.
Right.
I do that too.
And I don't do it with 3 and 4 figures.
You scare me.
Yeah. I try to do it with 6 figures. Drive the car of your dreams. Live in the house of your dreams. And then this one's personal to Bill. This is absolutely my personality. Do what you want and how you want to do it.
How, not when. Do it how. You do. Say what you want and how you want. And if anybody has something to say, instead of something to say, you look and say, so what?
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing.
You didn't pass the litmus test, and you and I will not continue our relationship.
Yeah. Your way or the highway.
Well, it's not exactly that way, but
no,
I definitely filter who's in my environment.
But I've been watching you. I tend to try to meet people halfway, just out of courtesy or something, or just giving in a little bit. Yeah. You don't. If you know what's right, you stick to your guns. Yeah, if they don't like it, it's solid. And I'm trying to be more that way. And I don't just, I'm saying whatever people want me to say, but I try to meet people halfway. But if you know the truth, if you know it's right, you just go with it.
Yep.
And if it ruffles feathers, it ruffles. But when the dust settles, even the things that I did that I didn't quite listen to you, I regret.
Yeah.
I should have Bill said he was right.
Yeah.
Because you're not doing this lightly oh, it's my opinion or attitude. It's not. It's experience.
So what's the difference between why some people have all this and why some people don't? Right, we just listed off. I don't even know how many people, huge profits.
I mean, how to get there?
Yeah, why do some people have it and some people don't?
Well, I got my answer, but it's never right. What do you say?
What do you mean it's never right?
Well, you have something in mind. I have something else in mind. They're both going to be right. Well, personally, I think you have to have the knowledge to use. But a lot of people have it and still don't to use.
Right.
So I watch you. You've got this thing I call drive. Mm-hmm. You'll push and you'll push. You won't rake your leaves.
Yep. You'll
push and you get your job done. You get the leaves later. Me, I'm raking the leaves, and then I'll get to this later. So I'm trying to make time for everything, but you'll just drive on stuff to get it done and wind up ahead in the end.
Right.
You'll call the guy to rake the leaves, and you'll have the house, and you'll have the money, and the cigar.
Right.
Well, and I think you have
the cigar is really first. Not at the end of the list.
Well, it's first, second. Come on, Bill. It's first, second, and third.
Right.
But you have. I just think you have a drive that just pushes through things and doesn't let all those distractions. You have those,
right?
But you just time it so that it doesn't matter. You just do it anyways,
right?
So that's respectable.
Thank you.
Welcome.
So here's what I wrote. So
Bill's answer is
no. I liked your answer.
Yeah, thanks so much.
And it's not because it was about me, but it is true. We're going to actually talk about that towards the end of the show.
Well, what else have you got? You got the data.
Right.
Do it. I mean, there's have it and do it. Well, it's not that complicated.
Right. The noise in your environment has a lot to do with how you end up.
Yeah.
Okay. So why do some people have all this stuff and some people don't? And here's what I wrote.
Yep.
Because they have broken the chain and ball and crawled out of the mental trap that has caused an overwhelming amount of excuses and justifications on why they procrastinate. So it's not that it's just what you're saying. I think we're saying the same thing, because with me, if it doesn't work, I look at myself first and think, what did I do wrong? Mm-hmm. Where a lot of times what happens with my students is they'll study my stuff and it doesn't work, and they'll look at me and say, well, he didn't know what he was doing. They don't look at themselves.
That goes for anything.
That's right. They don't say, maybe I have a misunderstood word, or maybe I didn't fully duplicate what it is that he does. Right? Maybe I'm doing something wrong. I should check me first. I should see if there's something wrong with the way I learned it. Mm-hmm. They don't have that. A lot of people don't do that.
Oh, it's easier to blame the world around you.
Right.
But I got fat news for everybody. Fat news. You can't change the world around you that easy.
Right.
Way easier to change your little attitude.
Right.
I mean, really, you get up in the morning. Go try to change the world.
So I learned a lesson this past week, which I have not learned this profound in a while. I mean, I've learned the lesson, but I got rejuvenated by this lesson. So we just went through Christmas, right? And again, like I said, if somebody's listening to this in June or July, I'm sorry, but we just went through Christmas, and I have a very traditional way of having Christmas. I got divorced like 18 years ago. Very amicable divorce. I get along with my ex-wife to this day. And I have a new marriage that's 15. I've been with my new wife like 17 years. Okay. And that's been very good. I mean, it's got its ups and downs, but it is what it is. Right? It's a marriage. Mm-hmm. Right? So I have always laid down the law that we have Christmas at my house, and it's done a certain way. And this year, my wife's family is in from out of town, and we didn't do that. We did something completely different. And I felt when I went into it that I was getting gypped. I felt like this isn't going to be good. So I did something without even realizing it. And now that I've done it, I told Emma this morning that this holiday was probably one of the best I've had in many years. And the reason for it is because of my little saying. My little saying goes like this. Frustration is a function of expectation. I lowered my expectation of this holiday, like, oh, I'm not going to have, not that I'm not going to have fun, but I'm just going to go along for the ride and see what happens. Yeah. And I had very low expectations. So everything that came along, not that you should have low expectations, but everything that came along, it was admirable. I just loved it. It was like, holy crap. And it was just amazing because I just had a different expectation, and it surprised me. So I wasn't frustrated because I didn't have a high expectation like, oh, we got to do this and we got to do that. And it was like all regimented.
Well, if you were to hang on to what you wanted to do when it didn't happen, you'd have to be disappointed.
Right.
So you have to let that go and just let the adventure come in.
Right.
And it worked out, huh?
Yeah. So today...
Old dog learns new tricks?
Yeah, absolutely. So today I'd like to address this dreaded disease that people have, and which is this procrastination.
Called loser.
Right. And
that's how you feel when you don't succeed at something. You feel like a loser.
Yeah. And this industry of buying houses for profit is just full of this. It's just full of this. And this is why most people don't do deals or buy property, right? And they like catch this disease and they can't shake it. It's like the plague. They catch it and they can't disease it, and it kills off whole communities because of this procrastination.
Whole communities.
Yeah, I mean, think about the plague back in the day. It killed like whole communities.
Well, I got that part.
Peter, how many events have we been to? How many rooms full of people have we put in? And we're not any big shots. 20, 30 people we put in a room. Mm-hmm. How many come back? It's procrastination.
Yep.
They buy stuff. They go off into the Neverlands.
Yep.
And what do they get?
Never.
Not a lot of them rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
And it's this procrastination thing. It's got to be. What else could it be? They have lack of confidence.
Well, procrastination contains a fear angle in it too, doesn't it?
Right.
Is that, people talk about fear.
I haven't talked about this either. I'm going to take out my notebook. Here's something else that's going to change for this year. I came up with a new slogan. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So flipping houses for rookies is a process taught to build confidence.
Huh.
That's what I'm going to work on.
Oh, yeah.
There's a process that's taught to build confidence. Because when you have confidence, you do anything.
Yeah.
All right, so first I would like to cover that high earners, these high earners that we're talking about, these people that have this success, all right, are looking up so much. What am I trying to say here? These high earners that are looked up to so much are just common, everyday people. That's what I'm trying to say. There's nothing extraordinary about them.
No, in your room, in the meetups, you probably have a better idea from the front of the room than the back of their heads that I see when I'm at the back. But sometimes people have raised hands or had conversation, and it's like that person, that person doesn't look like it at all.
Right.
And yet they're doing it.
Yeah.
You cannot tell.
Exactly.
And so, which means it doesn't matter what you look like, how tall you are, where you come from, educate, doesn't matter.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
So what makes them so successful is they're just doing things differently. That's it. Right? And what they have learned and all that they've learned, they use it. Right? And by the way, you can learn it too. The listeners, meaning you or any of the listeners. But they're just doing something differently. That's all they're doing.
Well, but they probably have like a shtick that they found, like a vein, and they're mining it. They found something that works, and they're mining it.
Right.
Whereas you have like 7 veins.
Right. So the point that I would like to make here is that I don't expect anybody to listen to what I say. I don't expect my word to be gospel. I don't expect anybody to believe that I'm the end all or be all. What I would like is for somebody to take one piece of my information, implement it in their life, and see how it works. And then when it works for them, do another. And when that works, try another. And you will soon realize the simplicity and the truths that we speak. And the only reason that my training comes across this way is because of the volume of business that I've done and the amount of experience that I have. And I've organized it to give it back to you, mostly you and others, my daughter, right, and others, so that it's easy to comprehend. All I've done was organize my experiences.
Yeah.
I went out and I'm like your research and development department. I went out and tried all this other crap. Some of it worked, some of it didn't. And when I tell you on the podcast or wherever that I've done this or I've done that, you should take that and try it.
Well, that's the difference between somebody who's not, well, you could say kind of got lucky or kept at it until they found something that worked, and somebody like yourself that's a teacher that has a much broader view of the whole scene, that can give an educated view of it as well. Right. In which you can find your vein then. Like I don't have to do everything you do. Right. But if I find 2 or 3 things of yours that work for me, I'm happy because I had none before. Right. So a listener doesn't have to do every single thing you do.
Well, you won't have the same goals as I will.
I don't have the same goals or experience or time.
I want to buy 4 houses a month, and you want to buy one every 4 months. You know what I mean? It doesn't.
I'm happy one a month, but I'm not going to be the 4-a-month guy. Right. From where I started, but that for me, one a month, one every 4 months would be fabulous. Right.
So, in my experience, one of the most important things that I have learned is the ability to concentrate on single-minded things. So I concentrate with just like one thought in mind, which is what you were talking about before. And that's usually the most important task that I need to do. Like if you notice when you're working with me, I like lock in on certain things. Like if we have a closing, I lock in on it. If I'm trying to do a launch on the website, I lock in on it.
Yeah, and I've had to learn, like, don't bring that up right now. He's focused. Don't start another conversation. It's stupid.
Well, you'll get an answer, but it won't be the answer you want. It'll be like a perfunctory answer.
Yeah,
it's
be
like
short. But it's not even it's
not
so
real.
That's not what I want either. So I learned we're here. We are. We're going that way. Let's just go that way.
Right.
You know?
So do what you're doing while you're doing it.
That's right.
And do it well.
Yeah. The other stuff will be later.
Stay focused, right?
Yep.
So pay attention to the details that will give you the most return for your energy and resources.
Mm.
Now, what most people I have found don't think about, because it's kind of like time and it's kind of like, like space. Most people think that it's just there.
Time and space.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have this space and it's like somebody's there. And you don't realize that you create that space.
Mm-hmm.
You create that time.
Mm-hmm.
You create what you want. Everything you have is what you want.
Mm-hmm.
And what makes me bring this up is that I was working with somebody, I think last week, and I don't even remember the whole situation, but I was working with somebody, and my question was this. You're standing in front of me right now, and you're saying to me blah, 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 blah about what you wanted, and it didn't happen. You're asking my advice, and I say to you, just do blah, blah, blah. The reason why you're asking my advice is because I have something you don't have, which is, like, say, a house bought.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot what the conversation was. But so I've bought and sold houses, so you're asking me how to do it. And I say, well, just do da, 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 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
And then you come up with another idea of why you shouldn't do that. Well, the truth is that if your thoughts were correct, you would have a house bought. And so why don't you just go do it on your own? What are you asking me for?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the hardest trouble that I have is that people inject what they think is important. I mean, I run into this with my wife all the time. She has an opinion about something, and I'll just say to her, so when was the last time you did blah? And she'll just look at me, and I'm like, well, why would I want to take your advice?
Mm-hmm.
If I want $1 million, I'm going to talk to a millionaire.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to go down to the corner and talk to the guy that's got the can in his hand.
Nope.
Unless he makes $1 million a year. Which is possible, because some of those guys with a can in their hand do that.
Must be a big can.
Right.
What corner is he standing on?
Yeah, exactly. There's a guy down here in Stop and Shop. He's got a little dog. Yeah, he does well. A veteran. All right. So pay attention to the details in what you're doing, and do what you're doing while you're doing it. And then the most important part.
Yeah.
Get her done.
Oh, yeah.
Come to a completion.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Don't stop until you get a completion. Mm-hmm. And if you're not getting results that you want, you need to really take a look at, what am I doing wrong? Evaluate yourself first. Because the truth of the matter is if you blame somebody, like if I say, well, I couldn't do this because Peter did blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. I have now assigned you my condition. Yeah. In other words, I'm taking total cause out of my hands and giving it to you, and I'm now a victim.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm out of control and he's in control.
Right.
Effect point.
Right.
Effect.
Which is fine. Sometimes you have to be at effect, but don't be mad.
Not when you're trying to get something done.
Not when you're assigning it.
No.
Okay. Now, I want to talk about something that I got from Brian Tracy, and I'm suggesting you're going to laugh.
I never heard the name.
Brian Tracy? Oh,
no.
Yeah. He's a good guy. He wrote a book called Eat That Frog. Emma, can you put that link in the Facebook? Eat That Frog from Brian Tracy, please.
That sounds familiar. You may have talked about it before, but I forget the punchline. Eat that frog?
Eat that frog. So he says in his book, okay, this is not me. I want to make sure Brian Tracy gets credit for this. He says the 3 D's of habit forming are this. The 3 D's. D's like in A, B, C, D.
D. Okay.
Okay. First, make a decision. And I have to tell you that a lot of people don't do that correctly. They wish it. They wish it. I told Emma the story the other day about me having an army. In 2019, here's what's happening. I said, Emma, I have an army of guys, hundreds and hundreds of guys Now, this is not my analogy. It's somebody else's. I'm just making it my own. I don't even remember where I read it. It was years ago, right? I can't even give credit to the right person. So I have an army of people, which I do. I have an army between my students and my podcast and my email list and my staff and my clients. There's an army of people. Okay? I have an army of people. And I'm deciding to conquer an island in the middle of the ocean. So I'm going to load all my people and all my resources onto ships. And we're going to beach the ships on that island. And when we get there, I'm going to have them unload all of our stuff. And my first order is to burn the ships.
I was afraid of that.
Well, you've heard the story. This is not my story.
I've heard the burn the ships part, yeah.
Right? This is not my story. This is somebody else's analogy, but it's going to work for me. In 2019, this is what I'm operating off of. So I've beached that island, and I've ordered the ships to be burned. So now here I stand there with all my people and my resources, and I have one of two choices. Die on my sword or win.
Yeah.
And that's where we are right now. Going into the first of the year, that's where we are. We're either going to die on our sword. So this time next year, I'm either going to be gone, and you're not going to hear from me again, or I'm going to be everywhere you can ever imagine, and you're going to be like, I remember him when. It's going to be one or the other. We'll see.
Holy cow.
That's a decision.
Yeah.
It's not, I wish I could make $1 million. It's, I'm going to. And we're going to talk about that in a couple minutes. Okay? So the 3 Ds. First, make a decision. Okay? Then he says, second, discipline yourself to practice principles over and over and over again until they become automatic. So that's where a guy like me comes in play. Like, I have principles. I have a process. Just duplicate it and practice it. Like my for sale by owner script. flippinghouses4rookies.com/free stuff. There's a bunch of free stuff there. Just discipline yourself to on these principles that I've organized for you. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And just practice them over and over and over again. How many coaching clients have done that? Right?
No.
Third.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
First one was make a decision.
Yeah.
Second one was
is discipline yourself to practice principles over and over again until they become automatic.
Okay. Decision, discipline. Okay.
Yeah. Third. Back everything you do with pure, absolute pure, like raw determination until the habit is locked in and becomes a permanent part of your personality.
The 3 Ds.
I think it's pretty. I think Brian Tracy did an amazing job with those. That's why I have to give him such great credit for it.
Yeah.
So it's make a decision, discipline yourself to practice and principles, and then third, back everything you have with determination.
Hey, if being hugely successful was that easy, we'd all be there.
Right.
It shouldn't be terribly hard.
But notice this has nothing to do with fancy offers or any tools. It's all between your left and your right ear.
Mm-hmm.
It's all your attitude towards this product or this industry.
Have you ever seen somebody go into like Amway or sell vitamins or any of those things?
Right.
How come a few people actually seem to do okay and most people don't? What's the difference? Because I personally believe anything will work.
Right.
Like the guy selling pencils on the street with a cup and the dog, whatever he's doing.
Right.
But some people don't succeed at it, and some just must be doing those 3 things to whatever they've got. You know, they got the lemons, they're making lemonade and selling it and franchising it and becoming rich.
Right.
You know, but they're doing something, and they have to be doing that with no matter what the product is.
So a major reason for procrastination and lack of motivation is vagueness, motivation, confusion, and fuzzy-mindedness.
Can you be more specific about the fuzzy-mindedness? Talk to me more about that.
Let me finish. So fuzzy-mindedness about what you are trying to do and in what order you do it. And the reason for the order. So a major reason for procrastination and lack of motivation is vagueness, confusion, and fuzzy-mindedness about what you are trying to do and in what order to do it in. And the reason for the order.
Okay. Yeah.
Getting simple truths and clarity on successful processes will alone start to peel the onion and get right to the root of what's really going on with procrastination. I mean, really, how many people have said, how do you handle procrastination? Get into action. Right? Well, if they could have got into action, they would have.
Right.
But really, it's a lack of motivation because there's vagueness and confusion and foggy-minded. There's a fog. You're like in a fog. It's like standing, on a pier, right? out on the ocean, like a long pier. You walk out on this long pier, hundreds of feet out, right?
Yeah.
And there's no railings or nothing. And the fog comes in and you can't see like 6 inches from your face.
Oops.
Are you going to move?
I'm going to crawl.
Why?
With my hands out to the sides.
Why?
Afraid of falling off the edge. Because you can't see it. You're not sure. It's fuzzy.
Right.
Confused.
So how is this industry any different than that? We're playing with big numbers. We're making large commitments. One of the largest things that any human being can buy on planet Earth is real estate.
Well, they say your biggest investment is your home that you buy.
Yeah.
And what if you buy a lot of them?
Right.
Times X.
So just envision somebody on this podcast listening to us right now is on that pier and the fog settles in and you can't see 6 inches in front of you. And he's like frozen. Or she's frozen. The only way to burn off the fog is to clear up any of the vagueness or confusion. And more importantly, the fuzzy-mindedness. It's a fog. Right? And the only way you can do that is to have a really good, solid process.
Yeah.
Step 1, step 2, step 3. Then you go back to, once you find something that you agree with as a good process, as like a doable, like I could do that, then go back to the 3 Ds that Brian Tracy spoke of. Right? You make a decision. I'm going to follow this process. Right? And then learn the process. Discipline yourself to learn the principles in the process. And make it automatic. And then make it your own. Right? I mean, it's really like be, do, have. If you think about it.
Yeah, I was thinking, does it connect to some? There's all these things that go in threes. Yeah. You be something, then you can do whatever that goes for, and then you'll accomplish something and have something because of.
Right. So here's what I suggest. This is cute. Think on paper. Because what you may or may not know, this is what I believe, is whatever you have done in your life that did not go well is what you remember. The things that did go well, they just kind of disappear and you don't always remember those.
Oh, yeah. There's no problem there. There's no worries. You don't have to hang on to that.
Right.
That was fine. Let it go. The problems you got to hang on to.
So the things that didn't go well capture your attention units.
Yeah, you're still wondering, what should I do? What should I have done? What do I do if it happens next? So you'll be stuck there a bit.
So when somebody says, I have to think about it, what are they thinking about?
The last time they had that problem.
Yeah, the not so successful times.
Bill, I asked a friend of mine who lost all his hair 4 weeks ago. It's all gone. Every bit of hair on his body, gone. Bald as everything. And he's been to the doctors, and I said, well, maybe a natural doctor, maybe something else. And he just went, eh. And I said, wait a minute. But people do that to me all the time.
Right.
So I said, can I ask you just like what the problem is? And he went to this long thing about somebody else who spends $800 a month on vitamins. The refrigerator is filled, and is like, he doesn't know what he's doing, and he's not well, and he just keeps spending money, and he's an idiot. I'm thinking, okay, what's that got to do with you? But that's what you're talking about.
Right.
It's a problem in his head of somebody stupid that he doesn't want to be like, so he just shuts the door.
Right.
That was Tuesday.
Right.
That was 2 days ago.
Right.
We had a nice chat about it, and I understood where he was being crazy with it, or just what threw him off.
Sure.
But they're just stuck in some old problem, not even theirs necessarily.
Yep.
I saw this guy once, Bill. He bought a house, and he lost his shirt.
Yep.
So I'm not going to buy houses because this guy lost his shirt.
Exactly. That's what happens.
Yeah. Well, don't be that guy. Don't lose his shirt.
So what I'm talking about thinking on paper, what I'm talking about is writing it down. So this is kind of like the analogy I gave not too long ago. It's like your wife wants you to move furniture in a room, and there's a couch, and you move the couch across the room and it doesn't fit, and then you move it to the other wall and it doesn't fit, and you move it to the other wall. Well, you might have moved that couch 3 or 4 times before you found where it's going to go. That's a lot of work, a lot of energy. Now, maybe you want to do that. That would be fine. But me, I'd rather take a tape measure and measure where she wants to put it and say, honey, it's not going to fit here. And then measure the other spot. It's not going to fit here. And then finally find a spot where the couch is going to fit because I measured it. Now I only moved the couch once because I was taking the time out to figure out what is possible, what isn't possible. I'm eliminating the problems before I exert my energy and wear myself out. Mm-hmm. That's what I mean by think on paper. It's 2-dimensional. Right?
Yeah.
And you work it out. It's like drawing a blueprint on a piece of paper with dimensions. Mm-hmm. Just work it out. And if you work it out correctly and work it, through the process, then you're going to, things will come up and things will happen because it's in writing.
So that would include everything, like write your marketing plan down.
Yeah.
Write the numbers of the house down, the financials, and then write what kind of offers you could give. Do the math.
I'm not telling you to do analysis of paralysis. I'm just saying mostly we're going to talk about this in a couple of minutes. I'm mostly talking about strategic plans and how you're going to attack things, what's important, what's not important. We're going to talk about it in a couple of minutes.
Okay.
But here's the point. Now you can touch and see the plan. And now you can put your energy behind it because now it's like a tangible thing. Mm-hmm. Without a plan, it's hard for your energy to flow to something. It's kind of like lightning. If there was no place for it to go, would we have lightning? If there was no earth, would we have lightning? No, because there's no place for it to go. Lightning is very specific. It goes to an exact place. Well, it has to do with energy.
Like plus and minus terminals.
Right.
Okay.
So the point is, if we don't have a bullseye, where's the energy going to go? It's just going to get dispersed, and it's not going to go where you want to do. Right? So it's hard for energy to flow something if it's not picked out or designated.
So this applies mainly to, you're saying then, to planning.
Right.
Which we can do for next coming year, huh?
So let's just do that. Let's just do a checklist.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So I don't know. We'll do an 8 or 10 point checklist. Okay. So let's say step 1. All right. Decide exactly what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And be crystal clear about it. Does that make sense? I mean, like, really visualize it. And not just with your eyes. Make sure, you have smell and taste and feel and emotions and all that in there, right? Be crystal clear about what you expect and what order and priority you want it. A lot of people don't do that part.
Mm-hmm.
I want $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
What order, what priority? Because you're going to have to get $10 before you get 100, and 100 before you get 1,000, 1,000 before you get 10,000, 10,000 before you get 100,000, 200,000 before you get 300,000. So what priority? You get it? So if you understand the priority, you can now set better goals. 2, write it down. We were just talking about that. If it's not in writing, in my world, it's not true. I can't tell you how many times, and I've been writing stuff down for quite a while. I can't tell you how many times I have an idea. Shit, it happened to me. I had to go for one of my clients yesterday, go look at a couple houses in London. So I was in the car, and I was listening to tapes like I always do. My university, right? I was listening to Dan Kennedy tapes yesterday, right? And it's like I have a thought, and I swear to God, by the time I shut the CD player off, and sometimes I pull over because it's that much of a thought. If I don't write it down, I swear to God, by the time I get to the next traffic light, I didn't remember it, or it changes.
Yeah. I
mean, that's just me.
No, it happens.
But the point is if you don't write it down, I can't tell you how many times Emma and I will drop some sort of do something, and we'll there's like funnels and stuff that we've done, and I go back and I'm like, holy crap, this is amazing. We spent 2 weeks building it and we never launched it because something else came up. Some other idea came up and I thought it was better. So if you don't write it down, you'll lose it.
Yeah. Put
it in the physical universe.
That's why you have that little notebook in your pocket.
Yeah. I read a lot in those notebooks.
That's pretty high tech, though.
It puts it, when you write something down, it puts things in 2-dimensional. Just like I talked about earlier about moving the furniture.
Yeah.
Right? It just makes it better. So like I said before, energy can now flow to it, right? Because the truth of the matter is where energy flows, results show. So why not control that energy? Why not decide where you're going to put your energy? Right? So, step 3. Measure it. Measure it. Statistics.
Okay.
Statistics are really what happened in the past compared to what happened today or this week. What happened in past weeks compared to what happened this week.
How many?
Last week I made 3 offers. This week I made 5, or vice versa. So statistics are really measuring the past into the present time, possibly into the future. And the most important thing to know about statistics. This is like a major law in life. It's simple, but it's so powerful. If you don't measure it, you won't manage it.
Oh.
You don't measure it, you won't manage it. It's kind of like, and this is a Stephen Covey saying, okay? He says, if the ladder is not leaning against the wall, every step we take just gets us to the wrong place faster. That's from Stephen Covey. It's one of his books, right? If the ladder is not leaning against the wall, every step we take just gets us to the wrong place faster.
It's funny.
Yeah,
scary, funny, but true.
It's true.
Yeah.
Right?
Where are you going, honey?
So if you don't measure it, you won't manage it. Step 4, separate each project with a simple program. And what I mean by a program is it clarifies the steps and who's going to do it. Right? So it's not a checklist. It's a little bit more than that because each step will have some very descriptive state. So if you want to be a good executive and you want to get things done, then actually picture something clearly and write a paragraph of how you want it to end up. That's your program. And then put them in sequences. Like, for example, one of the things that I do is, what we are going to do is one of the things I'm going to do this coming year is I'm going to write a minimum of 12 books on real estate. Okay? So I would put that clarity in a program. Like the first thing is pick a title. And so the second thing would be, what content, and there's a program or steps on how to do that. And if I'm really good with it, I can hand that program off to 2 or 3 people that I might need in that activity, and it orchestrates and coordinates them.
Sure.
Right?
And then they help you get it done.
Right.
Okay.
So, and we're looking at software. Do you remember the name of the software I was talking about last week that Kartra uses? What was the name of that software that had the lines in it? And the projects that they want to do? No? Anyways, we're going to use some software online to do it. It's kind of like Basecamp, but a little bit better, I think. So, but the point is that these projects, they're exact. They're very specific. And they're not long, drawn-out detail. Maybe it's like, I would like to find software to do this, and here's the things in the software I want, so please go research it. I mean, you don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to even know how to do it. It might be, go listen to Bill's videos on this particular system and learn how to do it. And then put a deadline to it.
Oh, that's important.
Yeah. I'm kind of doing this a little bit backwards, but and I'm doing it this way because it works better this way. Because if you do it the other way, you kind of get lost. So you write the programs because most people have attention on what they want to get done. They have like one thing that they know they want to get done. Right? So write the programs first and get them out of your mind so your mind can free up and think. So if you write the programs and who's going to do each step, right? It'll make it a lot easier. Once you get a few programs or get a few things, then what you're going to want to do is write a strategic plan. And that is only a paragraph or 2 long. And basically what it's going to do is it's going to align the programs and the activities and the resources that are available so things get done. What the strategic plan will do is actually like align everything in your life, all the dynamics involved, so that the priorities get done first. Right? So I wanna make $1 million next year. Okay, well, part of that is I need to write 12 books. And I need to buy 3 houses a month.
So is this like a good starting point? We need the strategic plan. Is that what it is?
Well,
like
you could do it. I've seen it will work both ways. You could write, if you have attention on certain projects you want to get done, you write the programs first. In business, usually a strategic plan is first.
That's very executive, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very broad. Strategic plan does not mean you get into details.
Just a general.
You just state, this is what I want.
Okay.
And then the programs get into the details. Right? And you start aligning how they work. I don't care if you do one first, you do the programs first and then the strategic. But the point is you write them down. And this does not have to be some long, drawn-out thing. It could be as simple as, I want to buy 3 houses and make $20,000 a house. That's your strategy. Right? Okay, so what would your program be? Well, I need to find a motivated seller. So how about if I call some FSBOs? How about if and I'm even going to talk about that in a few minutes. Actually, let's just move on to that because it's step 5. So we good with that? I'm going to move on to step 5 so I can give you an example.
Yeah.
Okay. So pick goals you can confront and do. Right? Don't say I want to make $1 million, but instead pick goals like I should make 3 FSBOL calls a day and 1 appointment a week to make an offer. Now, obviously, this is what I'm talking about. Like, strategic plan is, yeah, you want to make $1 million. But the program should be, how do I make 1 call a day or 3 calls a day? And how do I make 1 offer a week? Knowing that your available resources are going to be things like, let me think here for a second. Knowing that in the past I've told you that you need to make 15 offers before you buy a house.
Right.
So if you make 1 offer a week, that means you're going to go 3 or 4 months making offers before you probably get 1 accepted. Now, is it possible you can stumble on 1 earlier? Yes.
Yeah.
point is that if you make 3 phone calls a day and make 1 offer a week, it's proportional to your success, and it would work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it could be a mini program like go find 15 leads for the week, or go find, you know what I mean? It's like, go find a service that can give me, 15 leads a week, because you're going to call 5 days a week, right? Pick an area to go in. Which, by the way, you don't need to do any of this, because I've already done this for you. We call it the quick start. But not a lot of people have used it, and I've made these checklists, and they seem to get ignored. So I'm telling you how I would do it. I'm doing this stuff right now for my business this year. This is not something that I've just dreamed up. These are actual things that I'm doing for next year, because you have to think differently. If you want what I have, then you have to think differently, and I'm telling you how to think. And if you're bored right now and you're not paying attention, then get off the podcast and get away from me. Because you're not gonna if you don't do these things, it's not gonna happen. These are the mundane, boring things that most people don't talk about because they're not sexy enough to make a bunch of money in a seminar. But if you don't learn these things, you may not get anywhere.
Yeah, a lot of times people are successful. I mean, I know the music world better than this one somewhat, but in any field, they don't always tell you how they really do it.
Right.
They don't. I see in music, like, you're not telling people the whole story. And we've been to real estate seminars. We're going, they're not telling people what's really going on. Like, they're not telling them what's going on.
Right. But
to the back of the room, signing up and taking thousands of dollars, you didn't tell them oh, Jesus. And it was just, we have to leave.
Right.
We did that.
Yep.
It's screwy.
All right. So if you do what I'm telling you, you pick goals that are doable and confrontable. Like, you have a goal of making $1 million. No. Make a goal of, I'm going to make 3 phone calls to for sale by owners a day, and I'm going to do 1 appointment a week and make an offer. That's a doable goal.
Right, but you can have the long-term big goal and then the little ones that will get you there, right? Because they have to be connected some way.
But we're talking about procrastination. So all I'm saying is if you do this, the most important part about this drill is it'll get you into some sort of activity. It'll get you moving towards... So it's kind of like with the medicine the doctor ordered.
Yeah.
Like make an offer a week.
Yeah.
So make 3 phone calls and make 1 offer a week. Now, could you do more? Absolutely. Here's the thing: if you go back to what we were talking about with with Brian Tracy, right?
Yeah.
Simple principles that will work for you. Do them until they're automatic. This is something you can do that would be automatic. Make 3 phone calls a day and make 1 offer a week. Will it turn into 6 phone calls a day and 2 offers a week? I hope so.
Yeah.
But start with something simple. Make
if you win.
3 phone calls a day.
Yeah.
Even if you don't win, do it for a month.
Yeah.
Make 3
but
phone calls a day.
As soon as you start getting a win, like I've had wins with this. We just sold a house.
Right.
I got the fat check. I showed one of my kids. I made a copy of it.
Right.
The wife has it. We're looking at each other. And we made a definite goal for this coming year. And we had the conversation, and I think what I have seen, until you tell me what you've seen, you see more than I have. I think people who first start this business get into it thinking, I want to buy a house. And they go looking for a house to buy. You can't find a house to buy if you just go look for the house to buy. You have to do the little steps, step by step, that are not sexy, but get you there. Like, I want to lose 10 pounds. Okay, do a push-up. No, I want to lose 10 pounds. No, do a push-up.
So if you kind of go back and try to follow along what I'm trying to say here, remember I'm telling you that you have to write a goal because energy needs to know where to go.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. I want to buy a house. Well, if you put your energy and attention on, I want to buy a house, that's what you're going to get. No, I want to buy a house and make $25,000, and I want to do it before Friday. Now your energy and your resources are very specific and very clear, and the universe can give you what you want. Because the universe is nothing but energy.
Yep.
So where's it going to go? I want to buy a house. Who gives a flying?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I see in some people. They just want to buy a house. They go chasing around.
So what?
Looking here, and you can't. It's under a rock. Oh, I saw one. Somebody actually said to me, "I'm in real estate." Oh, I saw a house for sale. There's a sign in real estate.
Right.
They're selling a house. Like, no shit, they're selling all over the place. That doesn't help me.
Right.
That's not how it works.
Right.
So
one of the things
important.
I've run into with my clients, my coaching clients, is like, for example, Dave, He talked about it at the Christmas party.
Mm-hmm.
I said to him when we were standing on the front lawn of one of his houses, because he happened to be close and I went and looked, I said, are you prepared to buy this house and break even and maybe losing a little bit of money? You know what he said to me? Yes. I said, why is that? Because I need to learn the process. He wasn't buying the house for the profit. He was buying the house to go through the process I had been teaching him, and he wanted to see it. He wanted to feel it. He wanted to touch it.
Yeah.
He wanted the mass, like the significance of what it was like.
Yeah, the reality.
Yeah.
Real reality.
Right. And the truth of the matter is he made $15,000.
Good.
Right? All right, good. Step 6. Make sure you have a good purpose and passion to accomplish the goal. So let's take the $1 million, right? Mm-hmm. So I would say I can help my kids pay off their student loans.
So you're talking about, which is really important, the reason you're making the $1 million, because you ask this of people, and sometimes we get good answers, bad answers, no answers. But what's the money for? It's not just for the sake of the money.
Like for
what are
me,
you, Donald McDuck?
Yeah, exactly.
What are you, Scrooge? I got all this money, but nobody likes me. I hate life. What are you doing it for?
Like one of the things I could put down is pay off my wife's medical bills, because we just went through a severe illness with her, and I have some debt to pay off.
Yeah.
Right. I could tell you another big one for me is self-enhancement. I mean, like not too long ago, the checkbook was dry and had been dry for a little while because I needed some closings and things were not going well. I bought a course that I had no right buying, and I bought it on payments, which I normally don't do. But that thinking and that self-enhancement bootstrapped me enough that now all of a sudden it's not a problem. We had a closing. I have another one. I have 2 more closings coming, right? And I've got stuff in the works, and I'm thinking bigger than I normally think.
Yeah.
Thinking big is important. If you think, what's his name? Grant Cardone says that 10x rule.
Yeah.
Think big. If you want to make 100,000, say I want to make $1 million. What's the worst that can happen? You make 500,000 or 600,000. It's better than 100.
Yeah. If you plan on 100, what do you get?
Yeah, you get 60. Right. So have a passion or have a purpose for what you're doing, because that will drive you.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you see a pretty girl. Well, don't want to get with her because she's pretty. Get with her because you want to find out what she's like, or how interesting is she. The fact that she's pretty is like a sideline. It's like a bonus.
Yeah.
Right? Making $1 million is like the bonus. You know what I mean? It's like you get what you want. And we've talked about this before, is when you start knocking off those littler tasks, you'll be happy. Because happiness is not the $1 million. Happiness is going through the travail and the problems and accomplishing those known or unknown obstacles. Right? And going through them. I mean, I was thinking about this the other day. Any person that is successful has war stories about how they didn't get what they wanted.
Yep. And how somehow they did.
Right.
And what the in-between story, that's a story.
Right. Let me go back.
I was telling one of my sons about who's the guy, with the book. I'm sorry, I completely lost the book. He had the son that was born with no ears. It's one of the chapters in his book, Think and Grow Rich. Napoleon Hill.
Yeah.
He had a son born with no ears. I mean, inside was there, but there were no ears on the outside. And they prayed and they hoped and they wished and they dreamed and they determined that someday he would hear, until somebody came up with this little gizmo like headphones you put on your head, and it enhances vibration so it gets in his head and he can start to hear. Instead of being a lonely orphan in a state-run facility when Napoleon dies, the kid winds up being a representative of the company, going around demonstrating it, being an executive, top salesman, and having money and a life. Come on. No ears.
Right.
This is 1910-20. This isn't last year. This is like no tech involved. There's no science yet.
Right.
But they prayed and they healed and they hoped and they dreamed.
Right.
Come on, that's why you have to read those books. It's not about money. It's about your damn life.
Right.
And money and living and in the world around you. All of it. These guys are amazing that make the money. They're not like greedy whores, all of them. Some may be whores. But there's a lot of really altruistic people.
Right.
And some may believe they are and they're not, but some really are.
Exactly.
I've met those guys. My father was barber to rich guys. I met them. A lot of them are decent people.
Right.
Did you find what you're looking for?
No.
Okay. I covered for you, though.
Step 7. Make sure you resolve how to do something every day that moves you towards your passion and your purpose, which will eventually get you to your goal. Like I said, make 3 phone calls a day. These activities will soon turn into personal habits and a system.
Yeah.
That's what happens. If you think, I started the show off with thinking differently. Right?
Because we all have habits already. Look at the habits you have
Right.
that don't do you any good.
Right. So the last one, step 8, is time blocking. And I'm not going to get into that because we've covered that in other shows. But really what happens is you make appointments with yourself. So if you're supposed to be making your phone calls between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m., then make your phone calls. Do what you're doing while you're doing it. Don't answer emails. Don't allow phone calls. Don't allow texts. Ignore them. Put yourself in a position where you can isolate all the noise.
Yep.
Now, we're at the end of the show. I have a warning that I saved till the end of the show. And do not take heed to what I'm going to tell you. Because if I don't warn you about this, you will not make it. This is the stake in the ground. This is part of your decision process. You need to know this. If you do the things we're talking about, like, for example, make $1 million, make 7 figures, you are definitely going to lose friends and possibly family.
What?
It's not average for someone to do what we're doing. So you will get poo-pooed and you will lose status in certain circles. And you won't be able to communicate freely your thoughts, because after a while you'll realize that the reality between what you want to do and what that other person wants to do, like a $10 an hour person, is not going to be the same. So if you want to have free and clear runway to launch your airplane and get 30,000 feet up, sometimes it's best not to communicate with some people about what your intentions are and what you plan on doing. Because 7-figure earners or even people that buy and sell houses are not. If it was normal and it was considered a upscale industry, like a doctor or a lawyer, they would make colleges to teach it. And they don't. So it's not a run-of-the-mill job. It's not normal that you can think the way we're talking about, which is why you keep coming back to this podcast. Because how many people talk like you and I do, Peter? And the thousands of people, I think we're at almost 900,000 people download this podcast.
Yeah.
How many of them actually went and bought one of our courses and actually did the things that we talk about? They should be ashamed of themselves right now. They listen. They procrastinate. They think we have great ideas, but they do crap about it. You want to know why?
They're gathering research.
They have too much noise in their environment, and they don't have the balls to push it away. They're in agreement with their wife that told them, You can't do that. There's fogginess and fuzziness, and there's untrained things that are flying around in their head, and they're making up their own problems. They think this might happen and they think that might happen, but they've never tried it. It's kind of like the baby won't walk because they think they might fall. But if the baby didn't know that they won't fall, they'll try to walk.
Yeah, they do.
And they do. So the only thing holding anybody back is the fog. And I'm here to tell you that I have personally helped hundreds of people lift the fog. And if you're on the fence and you think that you could do this, you're wrong. Because if you have to think about it, you're in the wrong place. You should just know, and you should just do it. Whether it's me or anybody else. You should make the decision and burn the ships. And if you're not willing to do that, then we'll constantly have downloads for our podcast and a bunch of people that just listen to us. And we're just entertainment. We're no different than watching The Bachelor. Or I Think You Can Dance. Or American Idol. It's entertainment. How many people have we met that have bought houses off of this podcast?
A lot. Well,
dozens and dozens of people just
a lot,
listening.
but not compared to how many listen, but a lot that just can do it.
It's dozens and dozens of people compared to 900,000 downloads.
Yep.
What we talk about in this podcast today is the real reason why someone's not buying houses. It's fog. It's noise. It's your belief system. It's your own thoughts that have gotten to you to where you are. And if you're not happy with those thoughts, you need to change those thoughts. And I can't do that for you. You have to be willing and able to do that. And God knows we give you enough content to do that. And if you haven't made up your mind by episode 129, don't listen to 130 because it's not going to matter. Because you're procrastinating. You're doing something that is not going to get you the results you want. Point blank. Go to flippinghousesforrookies.com and there's a shit ton of stuff there to help you. It's just flipping out. We have one website now, flippinghousesforrookies.com. We have another podcast called Startup Bootcamp. Flipping Houses Startup Bootcamp. It's a sequence. They're 30-minute episodes. A sequence of how you can get started and what you got to do. The first season, because they're done in seasons, the first season is just mindset. Why did we do that? Because if you don't have that, you don't have. It's like having a boat without water. What are you going to do? Where are you going to go? Because if you don't have the right mindset, you're doomed. And that is how I'm going to end the year. Over and out.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.